It's time to turn your life-challenging moments into life-changing messages. Welcome to the Power Lift Stories podcast, where we are interviewing women whose stories will leave you lifted up, fired up, and fueled up with hope, courage, and inspiration. We want to thank our sponsor, Powerful Journey, who helps women tell their stories, write their books, and building a profitable brand around both. Join the masterclass or the Speakers Academy at phyllisjenkins.com. That is PHYLLISJENKINS.com. Now here's your host, Phyllis Jenkins.
How many times have you said, I'm going to write a book, but then you put it off because you wait for the perfect time or the perfect place to write a book? Well, let me tell you, our guest today was sitting waiting for her car to be serviced, the oil change, and she decided to start writing her book, her story, at the car repair as she waited. Let that sink in. I just want to challenge you. Stop waiting till the perfect time. Stop waiting for the perfect place to write. How many times have we heard that businesses were started by writing on a napkin? They were sitting in a restaurant and that idea came and they wrote it on a napkin and took that and began. So I just want to say to you, stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect place, and just start doing it. It is December 1st, 2022, the last day, the first day of the last month of 2022. What is it that you haven't finished because you were waiting for the perfect time, the perfect place to do it? I'm just going to encourage you to start. Just start. And if writing your story, writing a book is on your list, make sure you reach out to me. Not only do we have the Authors Academy where you can write your story and have a book, we also have the Telling Our Stories Anthology, Volume 3, that will be coming out next year. You can tell your story there, or we are about to launch our brand new membership program where you can come in, have weekly lessons taught on writing. We have editors that will come in, illustrators that will come in, other authors who will come in. And then every other week, you will actually have a writing sprint where you are writing. And then we come back together, we discuss what you just wrote, and we encourage you as you continue. And by the time you are finished with the membership, you have a manuscript that is ready to be turned into a book. So I look forward to hearing from you and have you to become one of our founding members of our Writer's Journey membership program. But right now, let's jump into our interview with our guest today, LaQuita Golden. Enjoy. How many times have you heard the words, Hospice Saved My Life? These are the words of our guest today, and not only are they her words, but she put it in a book. One of her books is titled Hospice Saved My Life, and we will talk more about that and the Unwanted penny. Let's welcome today LaQuita Golden. Hello, LaQuita.
Hello, Phyllis. Thank you so much for having me. I consider it a privilege and an honor to be here today.
You are so welcome. It's an honor for me to have you here. And let me just say, that it indeed is a small world after all, as the song says. LaQuita and I were talking before the interview, and we are cousins, y'all.
Yeah.
We are cousins, and we are
Yes.
tickle pink about it.
Yes.
So I am introducing to you today my new cousin, LaQuita Golden. LaQuita, share with our audience more about you.
Okay. Hi. As Phyllis said, my name is LaQuita Golden, born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana, or should I say a little itty bitty spot of Shreveport that was considered the unincorporated part of Shreveport, Louisiana, nestled right between Greenwood, Louisiana and Shreveport. So we had a Shreveport address and a Greenwood phone number. How does that happen? But at any rate, I was raised by my grandparents in that small town of Greenwood / Shreveport. And most of our time spent was sitting around the table, sipping coffee and eating pound cake. And while they're no longer with us, I still enjoy my pound cake and sipping my coffee, and it makes me have a warm sense of home.
And let me say, back then, I'm sure it was homemade pound cake.
It was. Exactly. You're exactly right.
Oh, yeah.
So now I am an author, editor, and philanthropist. And I just strive on doing my part to show those in need a better tomorrow.
That's great. That's great. Well, I want to move right into our interview by asking you if you were to give your story a title, what would that title be and why?
Okay. So my story, the title is The Unwanted Penny. Why? Because one of the reasons is because my grandmother, when she looked at me, she said, she looks like a brand new penny. So she nicknamed me Penny. So that was my given nickname by her. About 10 years ago, my biological mom did mention something to me about writing a book about my encounters of life. And I said, who would want to read about me? She said, well, why don't you just try it and see? So my 50th birthday celebration came up. I decided to write the story and use it as a party favor at my 50th celebration. And since then, it has turned more from a party favor, so to speak, into a message for all people to read and really get a grasp on things that you encounter in life that people are sometimes too afraid to speak on, and how to get through those things. So I'm excited about The Unwanted Penny, as well as Hospice Saved My Life.
And they are both great reads. We will let you know at the end of the podcast how you can get your hands on both of these books. They are super impactful and easy reads. So thank you, LaQuita, for sharing your story in book form. I love that you did that, and know that it will touch lives from generation to generation to generation long after we're gone. So I applaud you for that. Let's now just have you share your life-changing message.
Okay. So my life-changing message, the thing that changed my life, or should I say the turning point in my life, was the illness and passing of my grandmother, of course, who raised me. During those events, I tell you, my bag that I call life was shaken and flipped upside down and emptied out. Once that happened, all those pieces were laid out on the table of my life. Mm-hmm. So I had to then look at those pieces of my life and piece it together like a puzzle. So once you dump those pieces out on the table in front of you and you're forced to look at yourself and you're putting this puzzle together, then you start to think, okay, where do I go from here? How do I move forward? And where do I start with these pieces? I used to think that being me was some type of a punishment or a curse. And I guess it started from the beginning. I will say that it had to have started from the beginning. Think of what it may look like to an 8-year-old to look at your birth certificate for the first time, knowing what that document signifies who you are and where you came from. Well, as I read mine, my father piece was blank. So I had probably more questions than my grandmother was prepared to answer at the time. Couldn't ask for counseling because that was not a thing that you asked for in that day and time and in our culture. You just don't do that. So I kind of just lived with that. I wanted to write in a name. I used to tell people, well, my dad is Jesus Christ. So I started to fill in that blank with Jesus. So later on, going through all of that, I encourage people now in my life to go and seek counseling if there is a problem. I need them to get it off their chest, get it off of their minds, and things of that nature. I also learned through that forgiveness. Forgiveness is a very powerful thing that I have been taught all of my life, but when you go through something like that and you are forced to look at yourself and look at your life and look at things that have happened to you, you think about that word forgiveness and what it really means. And that became life for me. So what I thought at that time was, maybe it wasn't that I was unwanted, maybe he didn't stop at the hospital to sign the document saying that I belonged to him for whatever reason that was. But forgiveness really stuck out to me in that, because you're watching somebody at the end of their life and you're watching them struggle to breathe and you're watching them struggle all these things. And at the same time, she was teaching me about things in this life as well. So with that said, I then said, maybe it wasn't that they didn't want me. It was that they were too young to even know where to start with me. And then you have my grandmother there that was like a really strong arm. And she was like, I know what to do. You don't. So let's go forward from here. Having gone through many things in my life, molestation, suicide attempts, being talked about, being talked down to, taken advantage of, being spit on, hit, slapped, going through physical and mental abuse in marriage. Now I realize that all of those things really made me who I am today. They made me the strong woman that I am. And also, I'm able now to use my platform to possibly help somebody or to motivate others to just keep pushing. I tell the younger people when they ask me, I said, life has given me many lemons. I chose to add water and sugar and make lemonade out of it.
I love it.
Which turned into me writing and publishing The Unwanted Penny and Hospice Saved My Life. And The Unwanted Penny I always describe as a story of life, love, and loss. And Hospice Saved My Life, I always say, and I firmly believe that in hospice, that is such a delicate subject that I describe it as there are no do-overs in hospice. You want them, whoever you choose, to do it right the first time, because there are no do-overs. In my situation, when I had to choose hospice, the reason that I chose this title and to write this book is that I wanted to give back to the hospice community in some capacity. Hospice Saved My Life is the title of what happened during that transition of my grandmother's life. They saved my life. They understood the assignment. that's all I can tell you about that hospice situation. They understood the assignment. And when I say that, I would love to give a big shout out to Willis Knight and Piermont in Shreveport and Grace Home Hospice. They really understood the assignment. They held my hand as I held hers during that transition.
And my understanding of reading the book is that they saved your life because they made you go home and get some rest so that you could come back refreshed. Just hit on that for a moment, please.
Right. So the thing was self-care.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I heard self-care was at Grace Home Hospice. The social worker pulled me into her office and she sat me down and she explained to me exactly what self-care was and why it is important. When you have someone in a situation as hospice, and we know that they are not going to be with us long, then it's very important for you to have self-care so that you don't go there tired and worn down and you can't help but cry, and because it takes strength not to cry. Mm-hmm. And you want to show them your best face because they're already burdened down with the illness. They're already burdened down with the thought of leaving you behind. So they taught me to take care of myself so that I would be able to better take care of her needs.
I love that. And I believe that that's a message for someone watching today. Perhaps you have a loved one that you are helping to take care of. You have become a caregiver. And as LaQuita said, in order for you to be there for your loved one, you really need to do some self-care as well, taking care of yourself, getting the proper rest, eating the proper meals, and just getting refreshed before you continue to go on around your loved one so that they can see that you're okay. And as LaQuita just said, they don't need to worry about you, and they're ill as well. So I love that you brought that the self-care in. Mm-hmm. I know that God shows himself mighty through our situations. I would just like to hear from you. How did you see God's mighty hand working through your situations?
Through my situation, Phyllis, I learned that what love and life was really all about, especially the day that I woke up and figured out that I shouldn't be angry at anyone for leaving me with my grandparents. It was a true blessing. They showed me love, unconditional love, every single day. So that, Phyllis, that right there, that's a true blessing.
Amen.
So that piece paired with everything else that had happened, and then I realized he kept me. Mm-hmm. He kept me, and through it all, I'm still standing. And I'm able to now help others who are going through the valleys that I've already traveled.
I love that you said that, because in the Authors Academy, the Powerful Journey Authors Academy, the Telling Our Stories anthology, that is exactly what these women and men have done. They have taken their stories, their struggles, their life challenges, and they've changed it into a life-changing message, one that goes out and mirrors others who are going through the exact same thing. And it helps them. It becomes a lifeline to that person and draw them out of the quicksand, so to speak, and to help them. Again, I know that LaQuita and I are talking to someone today who needed to hear this. You've gone through something and you've bottled it up. You've kept it inside. But let me just say, if God brought you through it, it's for you to share with someone else so that that person can learn the lessons that you've learned and be victorious just as you've been. And LaQuita is certainly a great example of a woman who is thriving now because she saw the power of forgiveness, forgiving others. It's more for you than it is for them. And then to tell her story so that it can go out and be a blessing to others. So again, I'm not sure who we're speaking to today. You know who you are. Stop sitting on your story. Turn it into a life-changing message so that it can go forth and be a blessing to others. So LaQuita, my last question for you, my sister, my cousin, I can say, you just stood on a stage and you shared your message, your story, and there was a sea of women in the audience, meaning as far as you could see, there were nothing but women. And as you shared your story, some were leaning in, some were wiping tears because they had experienced what you had experienced. They knew the same struggles that you had gone through. But now you've ended your story. They stood to their feet and they gave you a standing ovation. They've now turned to go to their vehicles. The curtains close on the stage. LaQuita turns to go to her vehicle. What are 3 lessons that you hope every woman walked away with?
I would hope they walked away with: live the life, love through it, and bear the loss. That's what I hope that they would take with them.
That's great. That's great. Repeat it one more time for those who might be taking notes today.
Sure. Live the life, which means the life that you are given, live it.
Mm-hmm.
Love through it,
Mm-hmm.
and bear the loss.
Bear the loss. Those are great, 3 powerful lessons that LaQuita is hoping that you will walk away with today. And we talked about her 2 books at the beginning of the podcast. So LaQuita, how can our audience purchase your books?
Both books can be purchased via Amazon.com. The Unwanted Penny is on all major platforms. It is paperback only, and I did that on purpose because I do have note fields at the end of each chapter so that people can use it as a tool, as a life tool.
That's great.
Hospice Saved My Life is on Amazon.com and Kindle. But most people just go to Amazon.com because it's so readily available, and everybody has Prime. Everyone has Prime.
Absolutely. How can they connect with you on social media, follow you?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Penny2Lucky. That is PENNY, the number 2, LUCKY on Instagram. I also have a personal email address for the book. It is theunwantedpenny@gmail.com. Feel free to inbox me anytime.
Wonderful. And again, I am so excited to have you today. I know that your message, your story is going to go forward and help many who are listening today. And I'm so grateful that you chose to share your story once again. For those of you We thank you for being here today. We look forward to seeing you next week. And let me just say that all of the notes are below. You can look at them and get LaQuita's information. Also, if you are preparing your 2023 goals, and part of those goals include writing your story, writing a book, then I have something special for you. We are launching the Writer's Journey membership, and we are super excited about it. It will be a weekly community. There is certainly power in community because you'll be around like-minded people. Not only will you be around like-minded people, but we will be there to hold you accountable. We'll be there to cheer you on. We will have teachings. I'm bringing in guest speakers, experts, illustrators. Everything writing is what this community is about. And every other Monday, we are having what I'm calling the Writer's Sanctuary. That is where you will actually get an opportunity to write. We'll have a period of time where you're writing. We'll come back together again, hear what you have written, and we will go from there in helping each other. And by the time you're finished with the Writer's Journey, you will have a manuscript that you too can put into a book and put it on Amazon. Again, we are super excited about it. You will see more information coming soon about it. Also on my YouTube channel, you will see more information there. So click on the link and go on and register. LaQuita, thank you again. And
thank you, Phyllis. Truly, thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has truly been a blessing.
Well, you are welcome. And just let me say, we are going to have fun getting to know each other,
yes.
Cousins, and doing the fun things that cousins do. So
yes.
we look forward to that. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us today. If you are interested in being on the show, go to phyllisjenkins.com. You can also sign up for the Powerful Journey Masterclass or the Speakers Academy at phyllisjenkins.com.